Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. Today we are from group 11. Want to presenting our final project which is BITS 1313 Data Communication and Networking. So in this section we are going to explain how data travels from students' computer to online learning system server. Before we going through about the studies, we need to know what is OSI layer model. OSI layer model is a conceptual framework used to describe the function of a networking system, how data is transferred from one computer to another computer. So, how data flows through the OSI model? Data must travel down several layers of the OSI model to sending device and then travel up the several layers on the receiving end. So, the first layer is physical layer. Second is data link layer. Third is network layer. Fourth is transport layer. Fifth is season layer. Sixth is presentation layer, and the last one is application layer. So in this study, we are going to explain from 7th layer to first layer. So in the application layer is used by network application. Network application means computer application that use internet like Google Chrome, Firefox, Outlook, Skype, and so on. The web browser select which web browser is sending data to, connect to the server and send the request. So in application layer, apps like Google use layer 7 protocol to reach online learning server. Okay. The second layer is layer 6, which is presentation layer. Presentation layer translate data to binary and encrypts or decrypt it. Presentation layer receive data from application layer. This data in the form of characters or numbers, which is initialize the communication season. In this presentation layer, these files are transformed by abstract syntax notation into XML format to display on the browser. So in layer 5, which is season layer, it establishes, maintains, and end communication between the device. Also decide which packets belong to which file. So in this study, web browser like Google Search, Google Chrome, or Firefox open an online learning system page. It may contain text, graphic, videos, or flash objects and store in a separate file. So to access them, the separate must be downloaded and must be started. So this is a layer keep tracks and where they go. So in this case, they will go to your web browser.
I will present what will happen in layer 4, 3, 2, and 1. In this layer 4 is responsible for end-to-end communication between the two devices. This includes taking data from the session layer and breaking it up into chunks called segments before sending it to the layer 3. The transport layer on the receiving device is responsible for reassembling the segments into the data session of layer can consume. Meanwhile, in layer 3, which is network layer, transmit data segment between networks in the form of packets. When you access online learning, this layer assigns source and destination IP addresses to the data segments. Your IP address is the source and the online learning web page is the destination. In layer 2, which is data link layer, to send out the data out of lecturer's computer, it will go to the data link layer where the data will be framed. This is the layer where the switch operates. Since the router operates at the network level, that we can see the MAC address is at the data link layer. All computers in a particular network are plugged into the switch so they can communicate with each other. So this is the layer 1, the last layer before the cycle repeat the same process from the bottom to the top, and this is called physical layer. The physical layer will convert the bit stream from ones and zeros into frame that get passed to the data link layer.
Now I will talk about the TCP or IP configuration of this project. First, we will click the Wi-Fi icon, then choose the network and internet setting. In this network and internet setting, we click the change adapter option. Then in this network connection, we choose the Wi-Fi by clicking it because I'm using home network. And then next, we double click the property button. Then the Wi-Fi property box will pop up. Then we tick the Internet Protocol version 4, which is TCP or IP version 4. Then we can double click it or click the property buttons.
Next is change obtain an IP address automatically to use the following IP address. After that, set the IP address to 151.139.240.22. This IP address for online learning system server of Cobham College IT Centre using common prompt. Then, set the subnet mask to 255.255.255.0, which is Class C, and set the default gateway to 151.139.240.21. Next, the preferred DNS server set as 151.139.240.21, same as the default gateway above. Set the alternate DNS as 8.8.8.8. For the next step, click on the validate settings upon exit and click OK. Lastly, at the end, click OK. Then, you can test it and you are finished.
Now, I'm going to explain about the findings and experience that we were able to figure while we are conducting this project. So firstly, for findings, we were able to explain on how the data travels from the lecturer's computer to reach the online learning system server of the Cobham College IT Centre using the OSI layer model. Secondly, we were able to conduct the calculation to identify the IP address of online learning system server of the Cobham College IT Centre. Not only that, there were many experiences that we were able to collect while we were doing this project. The first thing is that solving real life problem without the need to invest heavily in communication hardware and software. And secondly is able to configure the IP address on the server. That's all from me. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about the experience and findings we discovered by conducting this project. In my view, we have faced a lot of challenges to complete this project. As you can see, we have produced 3 different sections in our blocks, which is OSI layer model, subnetting calculation, and TCP or IP setting manual. As a conclusion, we are already able to conduct IP addressing and subnet IPv4 Class C and also elaborate the OSI layer and TCP or IP layer. The experience we gained was, as a human being, we should not have to invest heavily in communication, software and hardware to solve real life problems. Thank you.